welcome to the Talking Out of Slot World Cup of Slot 2024 edition. Second semi-final. We've had one already, which has seen Slotted outdo SCX. Both of them do track systems, both of them do cars, both of them do digital. Only one winner. Now we've got a slightly different sort of a match in that we have the Italian-originated and French-owned beauty creators of Racer Sideways versus the gateway brand, certainly in the English-speaking world, Scalextric. And all the track system, all the off colours, all the little quirks and foibles that we like to associate the brand with, or don't. But there they are, still in there swinging in the semi-final. Scott.
People will be analysing that intro for any biases. You realise that, don't you? I
thought that's pretty even-handed, actually.
Well, there indeed. So I think I'm going to open the batting for Racer Sideways, which is to say that I first came across them by accident because I bought a second-hand 935 that I got cheap. Just because it looked like a nice model, and it wasn't a great livery, but fine 935. And I put it on the track, and I can't remember. I think I may have had a couple of Slottits at this point, but not many. And I put this thing on the track, and it was just instantly responsive and quiet and smooth and sort of, in relative terms, devastatingly quick. And I thought, wow. This is amazing. These things are, incredible. They're obviously well worth the money. And then subsequently have bought sort of several others. Group 5, big favourite of mine. GT3, big favourite of mine. So the things that they do very well. As you say, slotted running gear. I've not had a bad one out the box. They run smoothly. They run quick. The bodies are very nice. The accuracy seems high. So they do what they do very well.
Yes, they do. I think the biggest open goal that's yet to be scored is Racer bringing out a light plastic version of their old 330p4 Ferrari. I don't know if there's some deal with Maurizio where he gets to make his slotted one and they don't produce the extremely beautiful P4 that they used to do in resin in plastic, because it's actually a bit overscale, although it used to be allowed in competition. So one of those would be an absolute weapon, and absolutely the most beautiful Ferrari P4 in 1/32 scale, static or moving. So yeah, that's the one thing they've missed out on. The old resin cars were works of art. Really, the sort of modern era begins for them with the Group 5s. They do GT3s, which leave me cold. GT3 racing is a glorified track day, as far as I can see. So it's lots of gentlemen racers, which is fine. Nice, well done. Have a nice day. So I'm here for the Group 5s. And yeah, the cars, the GTs that raced at Le Mans in the modern lot. So there's the Ford and the Aston. Yeah, here for those. But yeah, and GT3s obviously also feature in the Scalextric catalog.
They do.
So, and with a lot of other stuff too, of every variety, and a track system on which to put them if you are so minded. And it can be digitalized. And yeah, I'm struggling to find reasons to believe in sideways at the moment.
I think, again, to remind everybody that we're looking at these, we're trying. The beauty of this competition is that by doing the draw, we then had a company versus a company, a brand versus, and it was about how would they match up in that. Not to say that, well, so and so is obviously better than everybody else. It's about how they match up. Scalextric, to rhyme off all the good points, there's lots of them. What was it, 50 new cars last year? I haven't counted. We don't know how many this year because it's a split announcement, but probably roughly the same. Everything from classic Grand Prix, classic rally cars, classic saloon cars, through to modern GTs, modern Formula One, fantasy cars, cars for kids, cars for big kids, track system, digital system, available kind of everywhere, compatible. You can get a connector. So even if you've got your dad's old set in the loft, you can connect the new stuff to the old stuff if you want to. Not that track's that expensive, so
everywhere is. Bricks and mortar is slightly lacking.
But the thing is, if you were, admittedly, you're unlikely to find. If you're going to find slot cars in a shop, it's going to be Scalextric. Witness the set, going into John Lewis at Christmas time, and the set that they were selling was a special one done by Scalextric. So things like that, which are certainly pushing. We talk about people who do lots for the hobby or whatever we want to call it. Them making things which are available in unlikely places using a brand name which has got that kind of recognition must surely be kind of high on the list of capturing people and bringing them back into the hobby. Whatever the percentage is, even if they sell 5,000 sets and it's only 5 people who subsequently go on to find anything else, they've actually done that. So all this sounds like it's a really one-way street, and yes, it's the UK company, and yes, we're Brits, very proud of it and all that. But I don't think we're blind to the issues. Anyone listening to any of the back editions of Talking Under Slot will know, Bastos Camaro the wrong colour, cars not quite the right shape, not necessarily running properly, all those little things, which I know they're not. Maybe should they get it right? And I think I've said before, I certainly hold them to a higher standard than some of the other brands to. I recently bought the Gom by Fly reissue of the old Alpha, which by any standards is nowhere near as good as a modern Scalextric car. There's not enough detail, the accuracy's not there, all that sort of stuff. But happily paid slightly more than I would pay for a Scalextric car for it. And I suppose it's that rarity and there's a certain nostalgia about it. Maybe Scalextric ought to reissue some stuff from 20 years ago if they borrow from their sister brand Airfix, who are doing great things with old tooling and calling it vintage classics, and old duffers like me are buying it up by the box load.
Well,
anyway,
Simon did that with the buildings last year, didn't he? He re-released all the old 60s, 70s trackside buildings.
Yes and no, though. They reimagined them in very expensive and very heavy resin, and I don't really I sort of understand because I think, my guess, everything's a guess, on the railway side, there's a huge number of resin buildings, which are all beautifully finished. And if I was a railway modeller, that's what I would buy because they're finished to a far higher standard than I could do.
Mm.
But the old buildings, the old plastic buildings, were fine, either as a kit or as a finished form. So I guess tooling maybe is the issue where the tooling might be for those things. But so it's an interesting one. But yes, at least it's there. But I don't know. Would I buy? I don't know. Say they re-released the original Senna and Mansell Williams and Lotus with Magna traction. No. Would we buy them?
Excuse for that sort of behaviour.
Anyway, we'll never know. So not perfect. Not perfect, but
they could re-release more of the more recent Williamses. I think the Mansell one that came out last year is now at stupid prices because there's a fairly short run of cars these days. The PK one's obviously there, but certainly in this market you want our Nige. There's the FW14 that was done and then repainted as an FW15. Weirdly. But that needs to come out again, I think. That's well worth bringing out. I'm sure a Patrese one to go with Nige and another Nige one would go down beautifully with the collecting public.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, maybe Simon has again offered to come on the show, and
Yes.
maybe we can ask him why he doesn't do that, or we could pin him down and tickle him until he agrees to do it. One of the two, whichever tactic works. I think is
We
probably
should birch him publicly until he says that he will bring certain cars back, but not the Turbo Flash F1.
Not the Turbo Flash. Okay, no. Okay. But as a gen, maybe this is the answer of why they've not copied Airfix and doing the vintage classic. Although if they did the I was about to finish Formula Juniors. If they slightly re-engineered that kind of, could they put a slow modern motor in it and re-engineered that front steering guide? I think I'd be up.
A slow modern motor in their modern Mini Cooper.
I know, but I'm imagining a what if. Anyway, that's not for now. We should be sticking to this matchup. So it's Scalextric versus Racer Sideways.
Well, we seem to have forgotten about Racer Sideways.
So we've moved on.
There's a reason for that, because they're not going through.
They're not going through.
There's just no justifiable case to make for Racer Sideways to beat.
Sorry, Racer Sideways. We like what you do. You just don't do enough. That in this instance, that's all. That's just this. So, Scalextrics go through and they face Slotted Polycar in the final of the 2024 World Cup of Slot, which will be coming down the wires through the airways and however else you get podcasts and YouTube videos very soon. So, thanks for listening. The coin of doom stays firmly in Nick's pocket. Thankfully, and we'll see you all again soon.
Take care.